know that some websites have said 6 o'clock instead of 6:30, so we're going to make everybody a little bit happy and start at 6:15, open the floor for any questions. And then about 6:30 or so, Gary's got some words that he actually created that will tell the story and highlight his career. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Gary.
I know I look different. Does anybody have any questions before I start? Oh, anything? Or should I just stop? Okay, how long does it take to put on my makeup? When I went to Clown College, one of my teachers was Bobby Kay. Bobby Kay was with the Raymond Brothers Circus since the 1950s, since it was tent. He showed me how to put on makeup. I could do it in 2.5 minutes. And he could do it in 2 minutes. Yes. How many children were afraid of me? During my years performing, sometimes I would get a child on stage, and I could see right away that she was afraid of me, or he was afraid of me. So I would change my whole attitude towards that person. One thing about clowning is it's not just putting on your face or a costume. It's performing from inside. And every time I performed, I was never the star. The star was the people that came on stage. And my job was to make them the star. And it sounds easy, but it isn't. I had a lot of good training, and I'm going to start that soon because I'm going to get into the boards. Well, you know me as, I never looked at it like that in the beginning. I started performing in 1972. I was in college. And a group of my friends and I, we formed a group called the Magic Train. And we did 3 children's concerts throughout New England. And this is what I look like. Which is completely different than what you saw me as. I look pretty young there, though.
I'm Miss Vanna White, by the way. I just turned my...
Now, after I left college, I opened up an art gallery and a children's school of art in Providence, Rhode Island. And I was teaching children art and adults at night. So I had the Triple G Gallery of Art with all the programs. And if you flip it over, the Silent Cloud. So I was teaching and I was performing at the same time. I kept this open for 2 years. In Connecticut, there was a convention to apply to do children's education programs across the country as a performer. So I put together an educational program. I auditioned and I got it. That was out of Omaha, Nebraska. So for 6 months, I traveled from New England down to Florida, across Texas, to California, up to San Francisco, back through the center, going through Chicago, coming down Denver, back home. During that time, in Miami, I saw a sign for an audition for Ringling Brothers on of the college. So I went to the Miami Convention Center and auditioned. I never thought I'd get in. But when I auditioned there, I just went out to the education programs. When I got back to Providence, which was in May, Ringling Brothers was at the Providence City, so they were having auditions. So I auditioned a second time. In 1980, we had 4,562 auditions for Ringling Brothers. They only accept 60. And out of those 60 people, after Clown College, there were 24 contracts. I received the contract. And that changed my entire life. For anyone who is a scout, I put this up here because I'm an Eagle Scout, I have a guided country, and I was district scout of the year for our state. I put that up there because when I applied to Ringling Brothers, Bottom Bailey, on their application, they had, were you ever a Boy Scout? And what rank did you receive? I asked them later, why did they want to know if you were a Boy Scout? They said, well, we know if you reach Eagle, you have leadership, and then you go all the way. This is Ringling Brothers Clown College. This is when my face changed. I have the application. I have the application, and once I joined Ringling, they started making postcards of me. And I started getting into books. I started to put together my own performance. It took me, the performance that you saw here, took me 7 years to develop. Especially putting children on my shoulders, on a unicycle, right? Especially at 6 feet, because you do realize at 6 feet, you're over 10 feet high. And I could never drop anyone. But there wasn't, I found a trick for it. And a lot of people tried it. A lot of people tried to keep people put the audience on their shoulders, and they would lose them. Because they were doing it the wrong way. And I never told the secret how to do it. And I'm not going to tell them. I had a Ringling past left the rest of my life. I also have a past in Erie County Fair the rest of my life. I was doing a lot of, while I was with Ringling Brothers, I started out as assistant boss clown for the Army, the boss clown of the Army. And after a few years, I quit. But I was brought into the office. And they asked me, what do you want? And I told them. And they put me into the sales department. And I became the promotional and entertainment associate, which was completely made up. They made that up. But I did all the conventions, trade shows, TV, commercials, anything that they needed, and I would fly everywhere. Let's see what else. Oh, this is the first book I was in, children's book. And this is a 20-foot unicycle. Educational programs. I developed the educational programs for Ringling Brothers, for all schools, from kindergarten to high school. And I have the whole program at home, which I didn't bring, but it's this thick. During college, they had a New York designer come in to teach us how to make and design our own outfits. I just want to talk about this. Okay. If you notice, I gave them my Ringling Brothers diploma. It was hanging on that wall. There's very few around. When you graduated from college, we had a performance at the end. That is when you decide who's getting the contract. If you do not receive a contract, you didn't get a diploma. That's how you know who worked for Ringling. And people say, I work for Ringling, show me your contract. You have to have one of those. One of the people signed that is Lou Jacobs. Lou Jacobs was the most famous clown with Ringling Brothers. He worked with Ringling for 68 years. He was one of my mentors. During clown college, he talked to me a lot. But he told me one thing. You can put on a flashy outfit. You can put on a face. But if it does not come from within, it's no good. You'll never be successful. You'll never be funny. You just be dressed as somebody funny. And at the end, when we did the performance, an elderly couple came up to me after the performance, because we would have meet and greet. And they looked at me and said, you're real. And I didn't know what they meant until a few years later. Because I was performing from inside myself. And very few people do that. That's how come I got so far. Because if you think about it, I've been doing this for 50 years. But in the beginning, it was difficult. My mother, when her friends asked, what does your son do? Because I knew I was a clown. And at that time I was doing dysfunctions, birthdays, things like that. And my mom would say, oh, it's just a phase. He's going through a phase. After I got the job at Ringling, they would say, what's your son doing? He works for Ringling Brothers. Complete change around, which is great. But it took me a long time to get there. Costumes. I started to design my own outfits. Every time I was on the road, in my dressing room, I would design an outfit. I also made my own. And I have 32 outfits. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. 30, actually I gave a few away. Everywhere I went, I got press. I see that on news, TV, newspapers, on the internet. I was everywhere. But when I performed, a lot of you know that I went up to meet my audience. You've never heard me say that I was good. Because you told me I was good. And that's one of the things Lou Jacobs told me. You never tell an audience how good you are. You always let the audience do it. The reason why I like performing in New York, because if you think somebody sucks, you're going to tell them. As I've heard you with other acts. And I've been here for a long time, so you must like me. And then it started. I started performing everywhere. Up and down the East Coast. I would perform in Florida in the wintertime. I would do school education programs in public schools, where I set up their gym as a one-ring circus. And I would teach them all the circus skills. The whole program was based on trust, respect, and discipline. And at the end of 2 weeks, the students put on a performance for the school and their family. I did that 16 weeks a year, just doing school programs. I also did one in New York at the Great Fox Festival, and there's pictures of it, Washington. And same thing, this is on school programs. Oh, I got too much. And when I was working in Florida, when I was driving down there, they used my image as a logo for the Chamber of Commerce for the state of Florida. So I'm driving down there and I see my picture all over the billboards. I never knew that. They never told me. But we didn't have the rights to those. When I went to college, I kept a diary, and I still have it. A diary of all the things I've gone through, but that's for my book. Before I leave, I led into a lot of this. Just a few more. You want to look at You want to look at these books later. These are some of the books I had on the road, designing all my outfits. And all the check boxes here are the ones that have been completed. My outfits to make one has over 80 pieces to it. They took a long time. I did ask the tailor to make them for me, and he gave me the price, and I said I'd do it myself. Because at that time, it was in the 80s, and they wanted $1,200 per outfit. Yeah, that's what I said. The first book I was in was a Florida guidebook. I found my picture on the front, on the railway train. And if you go inside, back of the train. I didn't know about this one, because I had to pose with this. The commercials I did a commercial for MS, on top of an elephant with a child. I did Blue Cross Blue Shield. For those who remember Mustard Brown Shoes, I did a commercial for them. I did a commercial for Hershey's Chocolate, which was weird because that was for South America. So I made it in South America. Tom's Potato Chips. Are they still around? Yeah, that's what they say. But I had a lot of opportunities. I also showed up on Nickelodeon, on the go, children programs, Good Morning America. It's just so much. I didn't know I did all this until I started looking back. I have press. This is only 1/3 of it. I haven't gone through it. My press is from the floor to the ceiling in my basement. And I just kept it. And all my diaries I kept. I kept everything that had to deal with this career. Now, does anyone have any questions? Okay. I'm up to chapter 9. I think there'll be 12 chapters. I don't know, has anyone tried to write a book? It's tough. Especially when you're writing about yourself. Because you have to face everything you did to get to where you are, which I'm happy with. But the beginning was tough because it has to do with childhood, which I'm not going into, but that had a lot to do with what I became. The name of the book is going to be called Why. How and why I became who I am. Yes.
How long were you at the Erie County Fair? How many years?
34, I think. 34? It's the longest fair I've been at. I was in Tampa State, I think 18, and then Rhinebeck and Saratoga, and all the other places. There's just too many.
Is that a record for the Erie County Fair?
Yes. I always wanted to come back here. I always said this was one of my best fairs. Not because of the work I did, because of the people. Because you were so honest with me.
Well, you had every single one of these kids on your shoulders.
Including the big one with the glasses? What? He was on my shoulders? Well, I can still do it. Not on the 6 foot. By the way, I can still ride unicycles. My neighbors think I'm... Okay. When I first started, I met someone I met the performer when I had my art gallery, and he knew I was into performing. He came by, and he started showing me how to ride a unicycle, because he could. He worked with the circuses and things. So I started with him. But at the same time, I had another job, and I was a show-owner cook at a bar. So in the back, I would ride my unicycle back and forth making sandwiches. I would ride my unicycle to work and back home. I did that all summer long. For kids on my shoulders, I practiced with a lot of friends. And I told them to do anything they could think of on my shoulders. I don't care what you do anything. So I would catch my balance. And there is a trick to that, which I see other people ride, and they lose kids because they're doing it wrong. I never told anyone what the trick is. And the whole trick is how you see yourself and how high your legs are, your knees are up. Because that's where all your strength is, right here. Because I had some wild ones, especially on the 6 foot. But the reason why when you're out there, I get into plates, was so you don't grab my face. That didn't always work. But that made it funny. And I've had children come on stage who I would try to melt. You know what I mean? So they would come up and help me, which was their choice. That's really hard to do. And people I watched growing up, if you watch the programs now, you see some of what I did on stage. Tim Conway, Lucy, Red Skelton. Some people are like, who are they? But that's what I watched growing up. When I was in college, I never wanted to do this. You would never ever found me on stage. But when I found the mask, I could be anything I wanted to. And that's how I started. Why the silent clown? Because in elementary school, I was in speech therapy for 7 years. because I had trouble speaking. And everybody made fun of me. So I didn't speak. So when we formed the group called the Magic Train, I said, I'll learn sign language, and I'll sign to the music, and then I learned clown, walk over, and mime, I learned how to juggle, I learned how to do magic, just to entertain the kids. And all this was free. That's how I started. Once I got into Ringwood, it took off. I think they saw what for some reason I think they saw what I had, especially Lou Jacobs. Lou Jacobs told me once, like I said before, you can't slap on a makeup and slap on a costume and think you're going to bring clowns. He didn't like clown college. That's exactly what they did to most of them. And most of them only last 6 weeks on the road. I did it, because I kept pushing them. But they knew I was smart enough to know how business worked. There's all the college too I have. Any others? You have questions? Sure. I did some performances. I would look down on stage like this, like transform in front of the whole stage. And then they saw me transform in 2 minutes. And they saw me completely change. Maybe if I come back next time, I'll do that here. Just do it right in front of you. Because I can still get right with this. Not my way to sing. I still have my strength.
Thank you for bringing up the previous Steve. Really love you next one.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah.
So you'll be embarrassed now if I work on it. Yeah, you're too big now. No, I can sit down. Any others? Please? Oh. Okay, I trained a lot of children who really wanted to do this for a living. I had 2 successes that went on with Ringwood Brothers. At one time, I was director of entertainment at a theme park called New Haven Playworld, where I made 22 performances, 22 shows a day. I had my show, and I would teach the kids there, juggling, things like that, motorcycling. One went on to be a comedian. I did a performance in Maine one year. A couple came up to me, and they said, come to our cookout, to our son. So I went to the cookout, and come to find out, I taught their son how to juggle. He went to Quincy Market in Boston on the weekends, and put his hat out, and did a juggling routine. He made $500 a day, Saturday and Sunday, another 5. He paid himself for college. He's now president of a bank. Those are successes. You use what you learned to get somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. Because I used a lot what I learned to get where I was. And if you go to a lot of places where you watch clowns, a lot of them don't have a full performance. They do not have a 45-minute performance. With Ringwood, you only have to do 3 minutes when you work for the show. I did 45. That's why I did conventions and trade shows. Because I could do a performance. And the biggest performance I had was in Ohio at at the convention center in Cleveland. And I was there for 10 days performing. And over 75,000 people saw a one-man show. There's something I'd like to say about it. We're talking about the way. Yes. Read. Now, my favorite, my second favorite was the drawings. My favorite was speaking to the audience afterwards. Because that's where I get a lot of my ideas. A lot of my ideas come from the day I'm on stage. Because I never knew what the person I have up there is going to do. And I've been surprised twice where I lost it. Here. Not with him.
My question is, I saw you last year, your last performance at the Erie County Fair. Mark was in an extra job. Was that you? I know you had tears at the end there. My question to you is, it's now a year later, do you ever regret retiring?
I was waiting for that.
You know, you're writing a book now, so that's...
Do I miss it?
Yeah.
No. During this whole, when I turned 62, I thought, I'm going to retire at 62. And I said, no, I'm having too much fun. And I can still do anything. Then I said, no, 65. And then I said, nah, 68. And then I said, 70, yeah. Because there's other things I want to do. It's not the end of my life. It's a new career from then on. And I learned that at a camp in New Hampshire. And I was doing service camp there. I did it for 7 years. And teenagers, they were great. But we were talking about philosophy all the time. And this was a Jewish camp. I was the only person who wasn't. But they had me back for 7 years. And one student told me, we talked a lot, and he said that he hugged me when he left. And he said, thanks for everything you did. I learned a lot. Now it's time for you to go on. You stay.
Thank you.
And that's what I believe.
You do a lot of drawings. You did a couple that was upside down.
I have a weird brain. No, when I was a kid, when I was young, I was always into art. So I started doing it at 8 years old. And sometimes I would look at the mirror and draw behind me, or draw upside down. Then I learned to draw both hands. I was me. No, that's what I learned. Then I had a lot of art training. I had a lot of private lessons. During high school, I had art 3 periods a day. Because I didn't have to go to history class, I didn't have to go to math class, and I didn't have to go to, what's the other one? Geography. As long as I kept my marks up. I got all A's, so I never had to go to class. I always was up in art class. In that year, at 17, I got a full scholarship to college. I was a junior in high school. And that's how I started. So I went to quite a few different colleges. I went to a private art college, and it had only 200 students in the whole college. That was it. My class was 37 students. And it was one of the hardest schools to get into. I figured I got into it. So that's how I made that career. I kept building. I went through a lot in college, just other things, which I'm not going to go into. It's personal. Yes.
The clown shows an inspiration for the performances and the face painting. Could you describe some of your inspirations and how you've changed your persona over the course of your career?
Well, like I said, Bobby Kay, who I saw wake up in front of me, was at Clown College. Clown College, classes started at 8:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening. Then you went to have dinner, you came back at 6, from 6 to 10 was circus history. And that's 6 days a week. We learned every skill we could in the college. And you had to try everything. And I could do everything, which I didn't know. My teachers, they put me on a wire, and I could walk it. I never knew I could walk the high wire, but I had the natural balance for it. So I was walking the high wire. Also did trapeze. Now I did stilts, of course, unicycles, roll and globe, roll over, all those skills. So when I became a teacher of circus skills, you can only teach what you know how to do. You can't teach from a book, you teach the circus way. Circus way, we can teach people how to juggle in a week. We teach someone how to ride a unicycle 2 to 3 weeks. If you have the discipline, same with stilts. But they taught me how to look through a person just by the shape of their body, of what they can do and what they can't do. And I never knew I had that ability. When I was in college, we had a teacher, his name was Kelly, and it was the philosophy class. He always picked on me. So all the students, college students, could start calling me Kelly Jr. So I started a newspaper, college newspaper. And I went into everything. And they went into it too. But people say they were afraid of me. They were afraid to look at me. So I asked them why. And they said that because when you stare at me, you look right through me. So they wouldn't have to look at me in the eyes. I used that on stage. People who inspired me, like I said, Tim Conway, Lou Jacobs, he was a great, great guy. Dick Van Dyke, who I met. Michael Landon, who I met. Stephen Tyler, who I met. I met a lot of people. I just don't brag about it, because they don't want to. And they respect me because I never went up to them for an autograph. But they paid me money. But I never asked. People who inspire me, the children who come on my stage. Because they taught me a lot. They taught me how to react to it. Because you just can't go on stage and have the same routine and treat the same person the same way. You have to connect to whoever's on stage with you. And I think that's one of my successes, is being able to do that. You never show this is something Lou Jacobs taught. You never, ever show your ego on stage. Because that's the first thing the audience is going to pick up on. You are no better than they are. You use your skill to get to a point. Use your skill to entertain. And that's what I did. I never, when somewhere in unicycles and stuff, I never thought about it. When I'm riding and stuff, it was like a portion of my body. Because I trained so hard on it, it just became a natural thing to do. That's why I was putting kids on the shoulder. I wanted 3 hard, but that was too much. I tried it, it didn't work. Okay, my face. In the beginning, that's what I thought a clown looked like. If you want to see the posters later, you can. My face was, if you look, I had red makeup here. I found out that working for Ringland, if you look at their clowns, no red up here. None. Only down here. And the reason for that is that all your expressions are made with your lower lip. And if you cover your upper lip, you can't see the expression. And I want to be a white-faced clown. There's other types of clowns. Well, I was more into the European type. And what a white-face stood for. A white-faced clown in the circus is considered to be the most intelligent clown. He is the clown that's going to be always playing tricks on you, and he always gets away with it. Always. I like that. That's why I like it when people are on stage. One day, a little girl got me. She made me laugh. And try going on stage and not having to laugh at some things that go on. You know, when I do the drawings, or this little girl comes work on the stage, she must have been 5 or 6. She comes up and she draws little circles, the magic marker, and puts it down. And I turn my head, and then she picks up all the chalk. She starts coloring. And I turn around, and she did this. The same thing I did, and I lost it. I had to turn around. I was laughing. That was fun. And I'll always remember that. I'll remember some other things. I'm not going to say. You still laughing? Sometimes at night I wake up laughing because I'm dreaming about some of the stuff that went on. Especially us.
Does anybody else have any questions before? Yeah, go ahead.
What have I been doing in my retirement? I've been painting in my studio. I still paint. I've been traveling. I also got a part-time job. Because after retiring, the first 3 months, I wanted to jump out my window. Because I've been so active. And I want to keep doing something to stay in shape. Because I don't have any medications. Nothing. I still have my strength. I'm 72 now. Hopefully I'll be like this at 92.
Anyone else have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
When my grandson was little, you always chose him at the end of his having the song. So it was so sweet. Now he's 6 foot 2. No way.
Want to bet? Not the 6 foot, but I gotta get to the little one. The whole thing with the little unicycle, some on my shoulders. Once I get them on my shoulders and I get to the pedal on a unicycle, it's easy. I don't feel unless the tool is tough. But it's easy. The hard part was lifting the person up and doing this with my unicycle. 1 foot, so I can grab the unicycle, while it's on my shoulders. That was the hardest part. Sometimes I like to drop the kid though. I should, but he's not, I don't think he's here. One day, kid, he knew I was going to get, when I pick up the unicycle, put it down, they know what I'm going to do. So one kid's in front. So I picked him, I said, okay. He got on my shoulders. He was fine. He got down. He wet his pants. And I didn't know that. I was told after the performance. So a few days later, the same kid. I picked him again. This time I felt it. But he was so happy. I don't know if the mother was, but.
Do we have some any questions? I have one last one before we say goodbyes. How would you like to be remembered? That's my job.
All right, how would I like to be remembered? Well, someone who always tried to do the right thing and the good thing and brought happiness to people. That was my whole life. And I still do it. Even the job I have now, everybody calls me the funny man. Because I make them laugh with the looks I have, my expressions, and now I make them laugh with my voice, which is different for me, because I never really spoke a lot.
Do they know your phone? Do they know the words?
Oh, do they know what I did before? No. They always ask.
What do you tell them?
I tell, well, they know that I work for Bigger Brothers. And I said, well, I was the educational and emotional associate for Bigger. I did conventions and trade shows. Oh, okay. That's it.
What is your part-time now?
But now, I work at a deli. And boy, the ladies love me. I'm going to stop wearing a ring.
Gary, where is this? Where is this, the devil that you were in?
Rhode Island, not here. No, I live in Rhode Island.
Near
This
Providence?
is my state.
Near Providence or? Near Providence?
Yes, 3 miles from Providence. Any other
No,
questions?
my sister
Yes.
used to live in Providence. That's where
If and when I finish my books, I'll have a sign in here. But you don't realize how tough it is to write a book on yourself. Because you have to be completely honest with yourself. Which I have a problem with. Just some of the things I went through. So, like I said, the name of the book will be Why. Why I became what I became. Because a lot of it happened to college and elementary school. So I've been through that, and then I go through this. Let's see. I have one writing here from my college. I have a lot of writings in my books. And that changed my life. That was 1972 when I wrote that. But there's other ones that changed my life. And let's see. Oh, that's it. Places I worked at. My pictures are all over the place. Right now I'm in nine books that I know of. Every time I would visit a school, the child would come up to me and say, "Is this you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we'll put that in." They use my pictures everywhere. And I don't know where they get some of them. Some of these pictures that are in brochures and stuff come from New York, on the New York Photo Stock Exchange. This person who took those, my photographer, gets paid every time that shows up. He did all my photography for me. He worked for Greenland too. You have another hot one?
Is there any questions before?
How many venues a year did you normally do?
How much I worked. In the beginning, it was 11 months traveling and doing schools. And that lasted for years. When I turned 62, I started to cut down, and I would only be on the road 5 or 6 months. By the time I was 68, I cut it down to 4 months. But I was still doing schools, because I knew I was pretty close. And then COVID hit. I did nothing. I lost all contracts. And then I decided 70 was going to be it. Because I couldn't do that. I couldn't do a full performance like I did here. And I said, once I can't do the full performance on the high wire or the 6 foot, I don't want to do it. And I don't miss it. I have all the memories. That's not.
I was just curious, this is probably a no, but did you ever do the juggling conventions at RIT?
Have I ever done the juggling convention?
And RIT?
No, I've done con conventions. I did one con convention in Boston. And I was to do a lecture and a performance. So I got there and I said, "Can you turn that around? Can I do a performance first and then a lecture?" So one of the people there was Bozo, the original Bozo. And he's sitting in the back of the room and I'm doing my performance. And I can hear him. And his wife was talking to him. "No, no, 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 no." And he turned around to her and he said, "Will you shut up? I'm looking at the real clown." That was great. So after I did the performance, I had my lecture the next day. Everyone came to it. And that's why I wanted to do the performance first. I was there for hours for questions. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of clowns, they don't have 45-minute performance. They just don't have it.
After 34 years, you're an absolute icon at this Erie County Fair. We've got exhibits celebrating you, and I want you to know, Gary, that every fairgoer that comes in, they recognize you, and they celebrate you and the memories you have. Generations of families you've affected. So I want to remember you're touching lives, you're doing that. So thank you for being who you are and being awesome. So thank you very much for doing that.
A lot of times, you see her on stage cleaning up after me. Yeah, well, she's known as my fair wife. But she isn't. She used to tell people at the wine garden that we were married. He better give us free drinks.
Drinks all night, don't they?
All night.
I love you.
Thank you for such a great audience. Enjoy your stay at the Erie County Fair. One more hand for Gary. Enjoy your evenings, everyone.